Well, hello, my beautiful Cancerians. Welcome to my channel. This is Baba Jolie here with a little bonus reading all about you. I've already cleansed your space and I've meditated on your cards. For those of you who are returning, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for your wonderful likes, shares, and subscribes. I am truly grateful for all your beautiful energy. Just a little reminder though, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one reading, just so you're aware. Also, please be mindful, scammers are about, pretending to be me and lots of other tarot readers. I do not do personal readings and I will never reach out to you personally to offer one. Also, I will never ask you for money, e-gifts, or donations. So if anyone masquerading as me asks for anything at all, please report them or ignore them. It is a scam. Okay? Let's move straight on with your reading. Now, I will be using Gaia chimes, so please be mindful to turn down your volume if you are someone who is sensitive to sound. So let us start your reading and let us begin. Okay, my beautiful Cancerians, this is a little bonus reading all about you. Us tarot readers, we tend to focus on career, money, love, but we never ask how are you doing. So this reading is going to tap into what you're moving through at this moment in time and of course what lies on the other side. Now, this reading is very specific, so if it doesn't fit, don't try to make it. Hopefully something will come out there though that resonates with you. So let's see what is going on there for you and let us begin your reading. Thank you so much, Spirit Guides, Great Angels. Can you please guide my beautiful Cancerians? What are they going through at this moment in time? What are they moving through and what lies on the other side? Can you please highlight, woo, the way? You saw that card, I hope, on the camera there. It just flipped right into the air out of the deck. We have the Eight of Cups. Now this is a starting card at the very foundation of you right now. I feel there's an energy of freedom coming out from this card, but also an energy of discovering more about yourself, learning to let go, to seek deeper meaning, of course, within yourself, but also outside of yourself. And the Eight of Cups can indicate that something feels like you're fed up. That's what I'm getting with that card. I will tap into that a little bit more. We have the King of Swords here, and that is a crossing position. Now, the King of Swords, of course, can be an energy, especially in that position, that either you are trying to remove yourself from intrusive thoughts, or perhaps there's someone who's extra critical in your world. Perhaps you're fed up of them constantly criticizing you, or something is never good enough. And I want you to be aware that you're not here to just make that person happy. Their happiness is not your responsibility. You're there to find your own path and, of course, find your own happiness and make yourself happy. And there is an energy, of course, that some people will never be truly happy, so they have to find it within themselves. If you find that you have an extra critical person in your energy right now, I feel a lot of you are just detaching there because of the criticism. But this reading, it is about you. Okay, it's not about people outside of you, so I will tap in a little bit deeper there. But the King of Swords is a crossing position, so you have a lot on your mind right now. You are really reflectful. I mean, you've even got the moon there. Yep, you've got the judgment energy. So you're weighing up your options in life, and, you're a very authentic sign. You're the sort of person who thinks deeply, you ruminate on things. And of course, there's a lot of depth to you, and that means you can go to some really dark places in your mind with that moon energy, and it's because you're extra sensitive. So a lot of you, especially with that King of Swords there and the moon as a foundation card on your earthly plane position, it can indicate that, you've noticed that you're extra sensitive recently, and it can be that you're trying to find your way on something before you take action on it. and you're kind of judging a path. A lot of you are leaning into your sense of purpose right now, your legacy, and I feel, I mean, your potential position is the Ten of Pentacles, so your family or your soul tribe, they are your ride or die, but also the Ten of Pentacles indicates that a lot of you are ruminating on security, you know, this need for stability, but also freedom in that, and I feel like you're working really hard towards that. Ten of Pentacles is also an energy of family responsibilities or responsibilities in general, and you're just trying to make sure that you adhere to those responsibilities, but at the same time, you know, find some freedom, a little bit more energy for yourself, perhaps. We've got that Seven of Cups. I mean, I'm looking at a person who's trying to weigh up your options on something, or you're trying to work something out. A lot of you, you know, this can be something that's way outside of yourself. You're trying to make sense of the world right now, trying to understand a world that seems like it's turned upside down from what you once knew. Perhaps the world has, you know, thrust a lot of pressure on you in some way, and you're just trying to find your path through this, but also you're trying to find some sort of understanding. Because the moon energy is, it's kind of like you're unclear about something, or you're confused about something, like how did it get to this, or how has this situation occurred? Page of Swords, you're investigating, dig a little bit deeper. A lot of you may be absorbing a lot of knowledge right now. You're voracious for information. You just want to find the truth on a situation there. And I feel like a lot of you may be even like having new ideas on how to fulfill your purpose. It's almost like you're putting yourself in review at this moment in time, deep in thought. And I would also say a lot of you are trying to manage intrusive thoughts, especially when you're under pressure. You tend to go to those places where you're extra critical upon yourself as well. So some of you, well, all of you, I'm sending you a huge hug out there if you're dealing with someone who is critical and then you're extra critical upon yourself. You know, you're someone who is lovable both inside and out. And I would say, this is just coming up from my guides right now, if someone else, you know, is extra critical on you and says some of the things that perhaps you say to yourself sometimes, you'd call them out on it. You know, you don't tend to like conflict, but if it's there and you have to, you know, set a boundary or an intention, you're there for it. You're the sort of person who can surprise another person with your sense of authority. You know, you dig your heels in when it's necessary. I love that about my beautiful Cancerians. You can never, ever, ever in the history of ever make a Cancerian do something that they don't want to do. You know, they'll either, you know, dig the heels in or they'll disappear. So I really kind of respect that. I'm a Scorpio, so I kind of understand that energy. But what my guides are getting at right now is that, you know, why do you feel like sometimes, especially when you're under pressure, and this may not resonate with all of you, but sometimes, you know, you can be extra critical upon yourself and really go to some challenging energies in your mind about yourself, especially when you're under pressure or when things are not going as well as you'd hoped. You know, why do you feel it's okay for you to talk to you like that? So a lot of you may be looking at intrusive thoughts at this time, trying to correct them there. We got the Three of Swords. Oof, very cerebral. You know, I feel there's some sort of challenge here or something that's hard to work out. It's almost like you're calculating something right now. I mean, for some of you, because there is a King of Swords there, you could be calculating a person's energy. What do they mean by that? But as this reading is all about you, I would say something perhaps has affected you deeply that has been challenging, and it's shaped who you are. You're really sensitive about it. You may dissect it from time to time, and I feel that for some of you, the Ten of Pentacles can be connected to the family or someone close to you, and that's why something may hurt. Can be something they said or something that they did with their actions, and you're just having a lot on your mind about it right now. So we got the Six of Swords. Okay, so I feel a lot of you, there is this journey of self-discovery though at the very core of your reading. So you're trying to work out your path, you know, your sense of purpose. And I feel a lot of you, you've been navigating some very challenging emotions. And maybe it's because you feel so uncertain in the world. You may feel that you're absorbing a lot of energy right now, trying to work out why things are as they are. You may have noticed that perhaps for some of you with that Eight of Cups, you're not feeling that things are fulfilling, and you may feel that you're different, and maybe you feel like you don't fit into the environment that you're in right now, or you're looking at the world and thinking, how did it get to this? You know, with that Eight of Cups, this is you kind of like digging a little bit deeper, you know, deserving more, wanting more authenticity in relationships, in conversations. You want to go deeper there with that Eight of Cups. I mean, this is a card of soul searching. And I just see someone right now who's soul searching about the bigger meanings in life. And, you know, with that Six of Swords, I want you to be aware that you are protected and you are directed. So if you have gone through some sort of challenge or something's on your mind and you're trying to work something out, these two cards are really exciting because that Ten of Pentacles there indicates security. It indicates, you know, if you're worried about finances, that you will find a way towards financial stability. A path is being made clear. You're actually being protected and guided towards that. So if you are worried about finances, I feel like you're the sort of person who will be very flexible. You've got an incredible mind and you will find a way, but also opportunity is winging its way towards you as well, okay? But we've got that Six of Swords. So if you've been going through an emotionally challenging time, I mean, I didn't choose the cards for you, my beautiful Cancerians, and of course not every Cancerian on this planet right now is going through something really challenging, but the cards have popped out: Three of Swords, Seven of Cups, the Moon energy, and the Six of Swords is your outcome energy, which means that you are going to move forward. You're in a bit of a gear shift in your life right now, and it may feel like things are up in the air, or it may feel like things are uncertain, but this card indicates that you're stepping into the unknown in some way, but you've been nudged into it because it is here that you find your legacy or your abundance or prosperity or more fulfillment than what you feel like you have right now, okay? Now, the Eight of Cups can literally be that you're just like noticing that things just don't feel the same anymore, like hobbies, environments. You may be going through a spiritual awakening right now where you just feel like you're at odds, as I said, with experiences that perhaps were once fulfilling, because, you know, the Eight of Cups, whoever walks away on the Eight of Cups actually goes straight into the Nine of Cups. That's the journey of the Tarot. So it indicates that you may be searching for something right now, and even though you've got your goals, your dreams, and you're locked on to something, you know, you're looking more for this sense of fulfillment, and you're going to find it because you've gone searching. The universe often rewards people who take the risk to go searching or to, you know, lean into something that is more fulfilling there. And I mean, don't get me wrong, you're also doing life, okay? So it can be that you're on your path, you're really busy, you are focused on your direction right now, your stability. Seven of Cups, you're looking at your options. You may feel there's moments of feeling scattered, but actually this is where you start to ruminate on best case scenarios. It's also human to go to worst case scenarios as well because you have that Moon energy. But I feel a lot of you, there's this energy of, you know, brainstorming or working out the next path that you're being guided to at this time. And the Eight of Cups indicates that, you know, you're just trying to work things out. Some of you may be thinking about like a restart in life in some way, or you're thinking about your freedom from a situation. If you've gone through a separation, for example, I'm sending you a huge hug out there if that's you. I feel a lot of you are learning a new pace of life. You know, you can be focused more on yourself right now, but also there's a change in the energy. You are going through a major transition, so you may feel a little bit lost or bereft within this experience, and you know, you are wondering what the next steps are. Now, if you have just come out of a separation or a divorce, for example, a lot of you may be wondering, you know, what's next, but also, will you ever fall in love again? A lot of you trying to romance your life a little bit more there. I can tell you with that Page of Swords, this is a circumstance outside of yourself. You're going to be very curious about a new person who comes into your life in your future, and I feel that person is someone that you're guided to meet. So I feel like you will have options if you are searching for love. So, you know, I don't feel that's the end of your love story, that's for sure. But also, The Eight of Cups there can indicate that you feel perhaps, the world at large, there's a disillusionment. It's like suddenly you're seeing things that perhaps have been hidden because you have the moon energy. You have the crossing King of Swords, which is a very intelligent person who sees strategy, who, is calculating something or is very analytical at this time. You're trying to keep your life in order, but you may be witnessing, especially with that moon energy, a lot of uncertainty, or you're seeing through structures. With that King of Swords energy, that can be a structure. You're seeing through structures that perhaps were there always, and now you're just feeling they're not fulfilling. So you're looking for an alternative lifestyle, for example, or you're thinking about an alternative path. Eight of Cups, no one walks away unless they're feeling really like uncertain, or they're feeling that it's just not hitting in the same way. When we outgrow environments, hobbies, people, situations, we evolve to the point where it doesn't quite match anymore. It just feels like you're at odds in some way with something, and you're deep in thought about either walking away or staying, but your foundation card is saying it's time to go on something, or it's time to evolve. A lot of you with that Six of Swords energy, it's really interesting because I'm feeling you on a soul level right now, where it's like, yes, you have these goals and dreams and, destination points that you want to get to when it comes to living your life in a practical fashion and being secure financially and doing all the stuff that society says is important to keep you safe and secure, work towards retirement, all of those things. Some of you may even be in retirement right now. But, the Eight of Cups is like, well, what's the meaning though? Okay, so a lot of you are on that journey of self-discovery. 8 is the number of the self there. And I feel like you're having a lot of thoughts there to try and understand yourself a little bit more, be fearless, and re-examine where you've been, where you are right now, and where you want to take life to next. And you're just deep in thought, This King of Swords is wanting to be a little bit more in the flow, as it were. And it's really interesting because the King of Swords is very analytical, but also is very detached, let's put it that way. And if there's one thing, my beautiful Cancerians, that you can be from time to time, but it's a self-preservation mode, is detached, okay? You're someone actually who is super sensitive. Your emotions are a superpower, but you may have had people in the past tell you that you're too emotional, you're too sensitive. No, you're not. You're exactly as you're meant to be. In fact, when anyone tells you that you're too anything, it normally means at that stage in their life, they're not enough for you, okay? So I feel a lot of you may have in the past tried to temper your emotions or your sense of detachment in order to make something work, okay? And I feel like you're just removing yourself from that now. But also the King of Swords, because it is a crossing position, it means someone who's detached and analytical and observant and trying to make a decision on something, trying to make a plan, and then someone who is like extra sensitive in their emotions and feeling that perhaps something isn't right, or acknowledging that there is some sort of corruption. This is a person, so it can represent a structure though, because the King of Swords, it can indicate an established kind of energy that is structured in a certain way where you feel perhaps there is corruption, or it's almost like if I was to look at this reading, especially with the 10 of Pentacles there and the 6 of Swords, you may be feeling that the system, in the world, in different countries, it's rigged. It's almost like people, it's there to keep you confined in some way, or it's set up so that it's constantly a challenge. And you're like, well, there's got to be something alternative. So a lot of you may be looking at the alternative path right now. I feel like you're not allowing that to limit you, as it were, as a thought process, because I feel like you're freeing yourself up in some way. You're sticking to your plan, and you are evolving into, being successful, making things work, and securing your position there, as it were. But, looking at the 8 of Cups and the 6 of Swords, a lot of you are leaving something behind. Now, this can be emotions. It can be a person. It can be an environment. Some of you are thinking about relocating, maybe across the world, or maybe you have a call to be by water right now because you, of course, are a water element there. And, if I'm also looking at this energy from a practical point of view, because King of Swords is very practical, it can be that you are looking at your body, mind, and soul right now, and you're detoxifying. You may be called at this time to cut out things that perhaps, don't make you feel good. Walk away from something that perhaps you've lost that loving feeling for. Perhaps, if you're like me, for example, if I like something, I will eat it and eat it and eat it until the point I am bored of it or it just sickens me. I'm the sort of person where I love something. It's not that I'm addicted to it, but, I crave it, for example. And you may be just looking at your cravings right now and being like, okay, I'm not going to let that have control over me, or I'm going to temper how I deal with that. So that's really on a practical level right now. But the King of Swords here, it says head over heart, clear truth, discipline. So you're trying to be strict with yourself, hold yourself to higher standards in life. That comes with the whole package, really. Whether it's you being discerning about the company that you keep, or whether that's you being really strict with yourself, with your diet, exercise routines, or even with your thoughts, okay? But something's going on here where I feel like you're ruminating on your sense of purpose. And with that moon energy, also you may be called to uncover things that you feel are hidden. Now, this can be something in your private life, or this can be something that's in the world at large. For example, you are on the earthly plane position. It's the moon energy, which can mean that you feel there's some sort of monumental deception going on, or you feel unclear about people's motivations or agendas because you have that King of Swords. And this can be global. Doesn't mean that, it has to be something on a localized scale to you. It can indicate that you're just feeling that there is some sort of eclipse of energy right now. You're feeling drained, exhausted. You feel that things have been a lot emotionally overwhelmed at times. And, there's this energy here as well of some of you either deciding to go off grid or live an alternative lifestyle in some way, or perhaps you're working hard in silence right now. Power moves in silence. So a lot of you are doing that under the radar, just, working to get on by. But also you're trying to tap into your visions for the future. The moon card can be about you visualizing what you want, your secret desires there. You may be really private and trying to adapt to a strategy in order to be successful, which I see you being very successful. Ten of Pentacles is your potential, which means you're all in, you're committed to something, but also it can mean commitment itself. So if you are looking to get married or have a relationship there, whether you want to be married or not, that's your prerogative. But I definitely see here you're being guided to that opportunity. But it says here, unclear, intuition, and unconscious. So I feel like there's some sort of awakening here upon you, especially with the Judgment card. That can be a wake-up call on something. It can be that suddenly you see a person in a new light, or you see the world in a new light, and you're navigating, a new environment, or you're traversing these challenges because something is challenging here with your energy. I mean, we got the Queen of Swords here and the King of Swords, so this can be a relationship, but because this reading is about you, these can be aspects of self as you evolve, as it were. So I feel more than anything, you're very cerebral. You've got so many swords here, so there's a lot on your mind, a lot on your to-do list, and you may feel just completely drained with all the things that you have to do, and maybe even fed up, like, is it always going to be like this? It's like the treadmill of life, as it were. And no, it's not. You're going to have a breakthrough here, but I feel a lot of you are just trying to make your way and understand something. And of course, the relationship, King and Queen of Swords, doesn't have to be an energy of like a romantic couple. So if you're single, you're like, well, it can't be, a connection to a partner. It can be a relationship in general. It can be a family member because you have that 10 of Pentacles there. But also it can be someone who's in your immediate circumstances, like a boss or a neighbor, someone that you're conflicted with, or you feel the relationship has been challenging, and you're just uncertain as to why there is this critical energy between you both, or this detachment in some way. And the Six of Swords indicates you're protected from any negativity, okay? And you're moving on from a hurt or a dispute or something here. And the Six of Swords indicates that, you're just going to leave it behind you, or you're just going to move on from it. Now, can there be healing in the situation? Of course. 10 of Pentacles can indicate that, especially with family, for example, King of Swords, it can literally be someone said something that was hurtful and it was said in the moment, and you dissect it and you look at your options and you search for the meaning in it. And of course, that Page of Swords is like, you need to dig a little bit deeper, be honest with each other, and kind of like reveal what the true crux of the conversation was about so that you can move on and heal. But I feel, there needs to be like accountability, responsibility for that to take place there. But also the moon, it's like a void energy. So it's almost like I want to say to a lot of you right now, because of the cerebral element to all the swords and the detachment, you're someone who has very deep emotions, but you may feel that you've had to be in a protective energy right now, or you may have felt a little bit like numb or on autopilot, just getting by, doing life. It's been a lot of pressure. It's been a lot, but you're like, you know what? I got to remain focused and just have structure right now and erect healthier boundaries, have this sense of purpose, and think about my future. And that can be a lot of responsibility that you are structured by or driven by. And it can be that, you haven't been afforded the luxury to tap into your emotions or see how you feel. But when you do, you may feel sometimes you're at breaking point, or sometimes you feel overwhelmed by emotion. And it is then when you're like, okay, I need to just, snap out of it, pull myself together. But I would say honor your emotions. It sets you free, okay? And it can release pressure there as well. Now, in the past position, we've got the Judgment energy. So some of you may have made a declaration to self to sort of do something at this time, and whether it is your plan, stick to the plan, stick to the structure, but perhaps the structure or the repetitiveness of it, perhaps it's not fulfilling anymore and you're trying to find an alternative way. But the Judgment card is about a rebirth, a renewal. So a lot of you, it can be that you've been soul searching because you feel like you've lost a sense of self within all the responsibilities that you have. I mean, we can lose our sense of self or identity through our, unconditional love practices. For example, like if you're a parent, you give so much of your love, care, and devotion to your child, of course, and then you guide them as the next generation. And of course, they have a social life that you help them connect to, bring them places, and, you're doing a job at the same time. It can be that there's a lot, you're giving so much of yourself that at the end of the day, you're like exhausted and drained with that moon energy. And suddenly you're like, I got no time for me. I gotta just like plan for tomorrow and get some sleep and just repeat. So a lot of you could be, especially since you have King and Queen of Swords there, these can represent parental structures. And for some of you, it can be that you feel like there's no time for you. But of course, not everyone out there is a parent. It can be that, you are confined in some way by the structure of the life that you're living right now. And, you just want to have a vacation with that Six of Swords, or you want to relocate, or you want to walk away sometimes. I mean, sometimes we all get to a moment where like, you know what? I just want to start over, walk away. And that's when the pressure is on, okay? And that's when you really need to just take a breath and, find some time for you to invest in things that really engage your emotions, your passions, because you have no wands here. So that just tells me that right now, some of you are either on autopilot, or you have been in a period where you've had an experience with that Three of Swords where something has been challenging, and it's not that you've shut down. It's like there's a coping mechanism here to just do what you got to do, if that makes sense. So I feel with that Judgment energy, it says here reflection, reckoning, and awakening. I mean, I didn't even read this card, and suddenly, everything is making sense, where when you go through an awakening, we detach. We start to evolve away from structures or people or situations that no longer serve a purpose or just don't feel like they're aligned anymore. You're elevating, and not everybody's going to elevate with you. And sometimes that can feel really discombobulating or isolating or lonely. And some of you may be just witnessing relationships or friendships or things just not feeling the same, because there's something here about emotions on the earthly plane, and then so much like sword structure around it, where it's like you're in your head about something, and that can bring anxiety, it can bring fears, because the moon card can be about fear. It can be fear of the unknown or the uncertainty, or like the kind of like deep sensitive thoughts where you're like, am I secure? am I working towards a future where I feel safe? And you are, because this is your potential position. The Ten of Pentacles indicates an energy of not just financial security, but also security within your emotions, to know that they are your inner GPS system, okay? Because you have the Six of Swords, this is a gauge. This is kind of like your inner compass, right? And in order to get to where you want to go, you have to key in like a destination kind of energy, right? And with that Eight of Cups, this can be that right now you have an idea of what you want, okay? But you're maybe not knowing where you may find this, but you have to be locked on to like a destination point. The Eight of Cups, the figure, well, the history of the Eight of Cups is the figure like walks away, not knowing what the future holds, and is okay with that, but knows that there must be something that is more fulfilling out there. So sets that seeking in motion, that soul searching in motion. But I would say with the moon energy, the moon is a vision. It can be that, you can dream or you can visualize a sort of destination point you want to get to. And that is the structure that will help you manifest and make it a material thing on the physical plane. And when I say material thing, I don't mean money. I mean, something that's in your mind, because thoughts become things. It becomes tangible on the physical earth, okay? So if you're dreaming of a relationship, for example, really see the sort of person you want, and the universe will strive to tick as many boxes as you hope for. I always say, think about the things you want in a person, never think about the things that you don't want in a person, because you're attaching to vibrations, and every thought has a vibration, okay? And that's the same with opportunity, whatever opportunities you want there. But this card, it says legacy, inheritance, culmination. Now, for some of you, not all of you, and I'm sending you a huge hug out there and so much love, okay, if you've been going through a bereavement, because that Three of Swords, it can indicate, in grief about someone, of course, because you have some people in this reading there, and I feel like you're going to feel them around you. They have not left your side, but, if you're grieving someone who's passed away there, I definitely see that, there's almost part of you that felt so overwhelmed by emotion that you have built a self-preservation mechanism that shuts things down. And then it sort of repeats a cycle, and it will be a process. But I feel like this person or these people, because I'm actually being given, for some of you, it could be people. There's like a lot of people around you right now who are protecting you, guiding you, and trying to highlight through messages that you are not alone. Okay, and that you're safe and secure, and that although their physical presence is not there, that you can't see it, you can feel it, and they're going to send you like signs, symbols, little messages is what I'm seeing there. I mean, all I'm being given right now, it's so random. The message that I'm seeing in the water, it's like a bowl of potpourri. And I'm just being given this energy of like scent. So, okay, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. So you may be aware of their presence through scent, but I mean, some of you may have like walked past, if you've got a bowl of potpourri, I'm not sure. You may be like, oh, this beautiful scent. And you may have put it down to the potpourri, and someone in spirit is saying, no, 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 that was me. That was me. I'm sending you a message. I'm here. I'm around you. So, or maybe there was something personalized to potpourri. I'm not sure. I'm just going to leave it there because that's not going to resonate with everyone. But it is like this dried flowers that are so flamboyant in their color, so beautiful, so earthy, and there's just a wonderful scent about it as well. So I'm just going to leave that there, okay, and ground my energy and send you so much love. But you do not walk alone. You are protected, and they see you and they hear you, and I'm just being given energy. It's going to be okay. Okay, so that's what I'm being given. So again, I'm going to move myself away from that energy. For everybody else, I get an energy that some of you, because that Eight of Cups, 8 is the number of the self, some of you are grieving a part of your life that you feel like you've lost touch with, or you feel like things have changed so monumentally that you're soul searching. Some of you may not recognize the life that you once led, or you may not recognize yourself at this time. You're finding your way home to self. You're being guided back there. And with that Seven of Cups, there is this energy of like feeling a little bit scattered sometimes. I mean, if this was a relationship reading, I would say a lot of you fear, you know, kind of like commitment issues with a partner, or you fear someone walking away from you, or fear kind of investing in a relationship and then, you know, a person shutting down on you, detaching from you. And looking at the energy, I feel like you're being guided towards a person. If that's a fear of yours, you're being guided towards a person who's all in, someone who wants to settle down with you, someone who is secure with you. And if you're going through a challenging time with a partner right now, and, you know, there is this detachment for you to protect your feelings, I feel you and your partner would benefit from really opening up about your hopes and fears, because I feel both of you kind of share very similar hopes and fears for your future. And sometimes you may both be very private. You'll share so much of yourselves with each other, but at the same time, you know, I'm just getting this energy that perhaps you or your partner, I'm not sure, is like if you have a secret fear, a private fear about something, it's like you don't want to talk about it because you go, oh, that's silly, I shouldn't be worried about that. But actually, it's a real, genuine fear, and every emotion and thought is valid. So this could be, you know, a moment where you kind of like reveal your truth, or your partner reveals their truth about their fears, about their hopes. And, you know, in that you can find a togetherness, that you're on the same page. And although you both feel the same about the hopes and fears, you're in it together. You're a team. And it actually brings you back together, because Page of Swords is be curious about each other. Be curious about, you know, why you fell in love with each other in the first place. A lot of you are trying to romance your life again with your partner and keep things fresh. And maybe you feel that things are not the way that they used to be because of the pressures and the time constraints and the structures that you've had to move through at this moment in time. Some of you may be with a partner right now where your lives are kind of like ships in the night, because you're just trying to make life work and it's hard. But I feel like you're in it together, and I feel like, you know, you will co-align. And I feel there is this energy of like kind of just growing back together, if that makes sense. But for everybody else who's not in a relationship, and of course this is things that are occurring outside of yourself, I'm trying to bring this reading back to you. Seven of Cups is in the near future, which means you're having to make a decision on something. That's why you're trying to work things out here with the energy. And it says here, searching for purpose. Yeah, that's it. I feel a lot of you, you know, as I said, you've got a goal, but you're still searching for the purpose in that. And you've got choices and daydreaming. Remember, thoughts become things. Remember, your words have the power to command your future. You know, words are spelt. They are spellings. They're cast out to the universe. It's so important, you know, to remember the words that you use. And some words have double meanings. You know, I always say be really precise with the words that you're using. If possible, we always forget ourselves sometimes and have to remember. But, you know, for example, because you have a Three of Swords there, you know, the word morning has a double meaning. Morning can be, you know, the day breaking. It's a beautiful time where the sun is up and, you know, you feel the energy and warmth of a new dawn. And of course, mourning can be to be in bereavement, to be in sorrow. So, you know, you of course, are aware of the intention and the tone behind each word. But I feel a lot of you, looking at the energy, you may have even decided that you're going to be more precise about the words that you use so that you can lock onto the things that you want for your future. And I feel like you will find your purpose. You'll be guided to this sense of moving forward. There's definitely movement and improvement going on here for you. But your advice to yourself in this moment with that Queen of Swords energy is to be detached, calculate something. It is an energy of acknowledging that you're a very courageous person in challenging circumstances. You know, the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords can represent someone who is either widowed or divorced, or someone who has gone through a lot of hardship, a lot of challenge. And you are someone who is a warrior. And, you know, I feel it's important to recognize that if you have been through something that has been truly sorrowful, challenging, or traumatic, sometimes the nature of healing isn't just about acknowledging that you're a strong person and that being strong makes sure that you are able to cope with whatever comes next, which of course it does, but also it is an energy that then throws you into hypervigilance, fight or flight mode. Sometimes that card, especially when there's so many swords, it can connect to fight or flight mode where you feel like you've got so much on your mind, you feel scattered, you may feel like on edge, you may feel like your cortisol levels are high, you are, constantly seeking, a way to prepare for anything negative that could occur in the future, just as a self-preservation mode. But often healing is also to kind of find a platform where you can welcome happiness, joy, and comfort into your life and acknowledge that it is there to stay, that it's not going to be taken away from you. So I feel a lot of you are trying to find your way through some feelings right now, and I feel this card indicates that right now you're trying to be logical about something. As I said, you're very intelligent. You have a lot of smarts there. So people who tend to be extra intelligent, they also tend to be overthinkers. They tend to like super analyze things. And sometimes, that means as well that not much impresses you because you're an old soul as well. It can indicate that you've been there, done that. You see through people's BS. You see through the BS of structures as well. And that can put you in a position where you see things that other people don't see. And it can make you feel a little bit isolated, alienated, or like that you're constantly overthinking things, but actually you're trusting your intuition, and then you're finding the facts on it. Because Page of Swords tells me that if there's something that you have a hunch on or an intuitive leaning on, you search the facts. You don't just rely on your gut instinct. And normally, when you have a hunch about something, you tend to be right looking at the cards. But it says here, perceptive, clear-mindedness, and complexity. Complex emotions, complex feelings, complex thoughts at this moment in time. But you're in control. You have cards that indicate you're in control. And if you feel like this has been a period of working something out and feeling a little bit nervous about the next steps, I feel like it's important to recognize that you have an incredible mind, as I've mentioned there. You have great ideas. I mean, this card in itself means you're vigilant. You're keeping your eye on something, whatever it is, and you're calculating or trying to trust your intuition. I mean, some of you, this could literally be that you're trying to hone your intuition and you're trying to get out of your own way, but I feel this is an energy of just relaxing into it. You may have been called at this time to foster a connection with your higher self, but I feel this is about you just relaxing and allowing the feelings, the emotions to rise within you. You cannot control that, of course. Intuition just comes in a flash. Some people will evolve to find a structure that works, and maybe that's what you're doing at this time. But let's bring it back to the core of you, because this is something outside of yourself, okay? This position in this spread, Page of Swords, is circumstances outside of yourself, and it can indicate there's a lot to think about right now. This is a period of calculating what is authentic and true. If you think about the last couple of years, humanity have gone through like a major shock and restructure. It's made everyone kind of see things in a different light. It has made people really calculate what's important at the very core of their soul, whether they are living the life that they aspire to, whether it feels fulfilling. And it has really kind of shattered illusions, as it were. Things have ramped up in a way where the hidden is coming to light in a more obvious way. If you're thinking about awakenings and what's going on globally at this moment in time. And I feel like you are adapting to the product of your environment. Things may have shaped you and you're just living life differently than you used to. And some of you with that Three of Swords, you may lament that. You may feel that is sorrowful. It's not that you weren't awakened before. It just means that it was either more manageable or less obvious, or it just felt like at some point it was kind of like, I don't want to say at a distance, because you're the sort of person, you feel so deeply and you get involved to try and help in some way or make the world a better place. But it just felt like it was more manageable, maybe less pressure there. This card can indicate that you're someone who is very quick thinking, you're very shrewd, very clever, and you're aware of, anything negative because you have that inner GPS system. And this could be with a person as well. You tend to see a person's motives, especially if they're malicious. You're the sort of person who can clock it straight away. It's almost like you are a human lie detector at times, but this can be applied both personally as well as globally there for you. But I feel like you are, on a personal level, just restless because it feels like there's got to be something more to this, whatever this is for you, because we have curiosity, restlessness, and mental energy. And of course, that mental energy can make you fatigued. You've got a lot on your mind there. But I do see that there is a new pathway or a new lifestyle or something emerging for you right now, and you're curious about it, but you're also restless about it because it's new, of course, and you're guided to it, and you're sort of like protected in this period of evolution as well as this period of exploring. I would say this is about exploring new avenues, keeping things fresh, leading with your passions, but because, doesn't mean you don't allow your passions to thrive. I feel right now you're just locked into a structure of analyzation, calculation, and almost like being on autopilot with your sense of responsibility. There's something you are locked onto that you want to do, but it's almost like maybe as a protective measure, you're not sure how it's going to work out. So you are kind of like trying to not be so attached to it, so that you don't get disappointed, because maybe some of you have been disappointed in the past there. But we have the hope and a fear position, and remember, it's just a hope and a fear position. We've got the Three of Swords. You hope that it won't be so difficult. Things have been challenging and difficult right now, but also for some of you, Three of Swords is a misunderstanding between you and a person. It can be that two people feeling so deeply for each other, and care so much about the situation, and of course, people, when they have feelings, they get lost in those feelings and they want to be right in those feelings. And often they are right in those feelings because feelings are an inner compass as to how a person is interacting with their environment. So, if this is a relationship between you and a person, it can be that, you hope to mend something, because the hope, basically in this position, you read the reverse of this card as well as the upright, and the hope is the opposite of this card. You hope for healing, understanding. You hope to be seen, to be appreciated. You hope that there can be a recovery of a situation. For example, if some of you are unwell right now and you're just managing symptoms and you're trying to remain structured so that you don't have, a flare-up of whatever it is that you have, it can be that, you just want to find a cure, or you want to be able to manage something there, and you are wanting to recover after something physical, for example. This can be physical healing in this position. But also, if this is a relationship or a misunderstanding, you would hope to get an apology in this situation. And with that Three of Swords energy, it can be like you fear not getting an apology, or you fear that there will be physical pain if you are dealing with some health symptoms right now. And for some of you, of course, this can also be that someone has said something cruel to you and it is cut deep, and you're not sure if you can forgive a situation in its present form unless you have a really honest, open conversation about responsibility for actions and accountability for truth. So I feel it says here heartbreak, suffering, and grief. So a lot of you, of course, you don't want to be in those emotions. You hope to, avoid those experiences where those emotions could be triggered. You may be in recovery mode for some of you, and this could literally be that, you're trying to cut something out right now and go through a period of, I would say, detoxification, purification. You may be taking out anything that's toxic in your environment, and it's hard. You may feel sometimes that you're tempted, and you're just trying to limit those cravings or those temptations. But the Six of Swords indicates that you will, okay? Six of Swords as an outcome energy, it basically means that you've been through some stuff and you may be conditioned to expect the worst, when actually you're going to be pleasantly surprised that you are in a period towards something better. You're turning a page. It may not feel like it right now looking at the cards that you've got, but you are turning a page for the better. You're turning your life around in some way. And the Six of Swords indicates that you've been tested. You've been through a rite of passage in your life, a gear shift that can be hard, but it is a change in either thinking to gain greater wisdom, or it is a change of environment in order to be more fulfilled. But it also can be a change in a relationship that brings you close together or helps the relationship evolve in some way to move forward. Some of you, this is, as I said, a transition to leave something behind, because it says transition, leave behind, and moving on, but you're elevating because of it, whatever it is. And things are hard right now. I mean, this is globally as well as potentially personally for some of you. But if you feel like, okay, things are not as hard as they may be for someone else, you may be very grateful for that, but that doesn't stop you from fearing that potentially, things could get more challenging in the future. But looking at your two potential cards and your outcome card there, Ten of Pentacles indicates, an investment in your goals, dreams, but also stability, security, and, maybe even mastery over your thoughts, so that they don't tear you down, so that you build yourself up and see how awesome you are. When we go through moments of pressure, sometimes that inner voice, it can get super critical. We can blame ourselves. We can, feel like we're clumsy, or that we should have known better, or that we should have let go sooner, walked away from something sooner. This is a period of letting go and forgiving yourself for whatever. I mean, I don't see anything here for you to forgive yourself for, but, it can be that sometimes we have to acknowledge that what we experienced, it shaped who we are, and what we're holding on to, we may have wanted for, the most of our lives, but then when it got there, it may feel like it's not fulfilling, and we can let go of it. We can course correct. We can change direction. It doesn't mean failure. It just means that you are maturing and evolving away from something that just doesn't fit with you anymore. Same with a relationship. If you feel like you've been through a very challenging relationship and you held on really tightly to that relationship to try and fix it, but still it broke down and left you completely empty, it can be that you wished you'd let go sooner, but you had to learn lessons about valuing yourself, erecting healthier boundaries, and acknowledging that, you will come through this on the other side. You will elevate, and that, you are onto bigger and better things. I would say a lot of you, whatever you're going through right now, something better is around the corner. Now, we have the Tower that's popped out there, and we also have the World. So this will tell me that the Tower can indicate major revamp of your life or major plot twist. Maybe for some of you a shock, but this can also represent that you've been feeling stuck in a rut, going round and round circles on something, calculating and breaking free from that construct. It can also indicate that this is a period where you are kind of rebuilding your life in the way that you want it to be, rather than what it is expected to be, as it were. And it says here, by withstanding the coming challenges, your future will be bright. See things as you want them to be in order to make them become that way. I mean, that was what your whole reading was about. I feel you're going through the challenge perhaps right now, and I feel you're coming out the other side there victorious with that Six of Swords. I mean, Six of Swords often means that you're tested and you pass the test, okay? So nobody likes to be tested, of course, but it does come to an end. The world is a cycle. And a lot of you, as I mentioned the world in your reading a lot, I really felt world energy, so I'm not surprised to see this card. You're an empath. You pick up strongly on the vibrations, but you're always wanting to know what's below the surface, what's really going on, so that you can protect yourself against every eventuality, especially for you and your family with that Ten of Pentacles there as well. So you could have a lot on your mind right now, but it says here, you must find your purpose to accomplish it. There is no guarantee for success, but the experience you will gain will have the potential to fulfill your desires. Well, the fact that you have the Ten of Pentacles there, of course, there's no guarantees, but the Ten of Pentacles indicates security, stability, success, money, new knowledge, claiming ownership of your life in some way, and being more in control of things there. So I feel like, there is a brighter future, and I feel like you're moving towards it. So let me just go and get a trinket or rune before we close. We've got one trinket there, a little fairy on the moon with a star. Some of you, this can be that you got so comfortable with uncertainty. The world has been a very uncertain place over the last couple of years. There's been a lot of plot twists and things that are really eye-opening. And of course, you're wishing for something with that star energy, but the moon indicates that you're sitting with your emotions, trying to understand the uncertainty, the fears, the hopes, the visions of the future there. But also, I would say with the moon energy, that there is something that you're not aware of right now that will come into view for you. It will come into clarity for you, and it will just be something you wish for that can align with your wishes. And I feel that, a lot of you right now, you're removing energy blocks as well in order to align with more hope, more positivity, and more things to be positive for. Okay, so that's coming out there as well. I would say this is a period, make a wish. Be really clear in what that wish is. See it like you've got it right now. And let the rest unfold is what I'm seeing there, okay? So I'll leave it there, my beautiful Cancerians. I hope something resonates with you there. Thank you so much, and love and light.